with how the final game went? Were you okay kind of watching from the bench at the end of there, or just did you want to be in there?
No, not at all.
So you wanted to be on the floor there?
You want to do your job right now? You want to tweet about it? You want to create a news report on it? You want to do all that, right? So, of course I want to be out. I'm not coming at it. I'm just saying, of course.
Before the season started, you came into training camp saying that you were kind of looking at this as a contract year because you're eligible for an extension coming up here. How do you think you set yourself up for any potential offers or how that process might play out over the summer?
I don't like to speak on that, man. It kind of comes back to, haunt you a lot of the times, and I'd rather just, there's nothing I can't, there's nothing more that I can do.
Back when the Wolves first got Dlo, we were all excited to see Cat get an all-star caliber player alongside him, especially one that was a good friend of his. But now here we are, 2 years later, and we're talking about moving on from Dlo. It happened kind of abruptly too, but as he heads into the last year of his contract next season and is coming off of an incredibly disappointing series against Memphis, what should the Wolves be looking to do about D'Angelo Russell this offseason? Let's explore the options. First, let's discuss probably the most talked about one, and that is trading Dlo. I won't get into trade ideas and stuff because I don't really know how to do that. That's why we would want to trade Dlo. I mean, coming off that series against Memphis, it didn't really look like he was worth a max extension, especially since Ant will likely be getting a rookie extension next season, and Cat will be getting a super max extension this offseason, and that would be like around $200 million per player over the next however many years. By signing Dlo to a max, we're also saying that we want Dlo to be a part of the team's core, as that would be like around 70-75% of the team's money spent on these three alone. I might be wrong on those numbers though, so don't quote me on that, but I don't know if the Wolves will want to resign him as they look towards the future, as right now they likely feel a little unsure if he could be the guy to help us reach bigger heights alongside Ant and Cat. Well, a potential pro with trading him is that then we wouldn't have to give him the max, so we have more future cap space. Another potential pro is that we can get more role players that better fit alongside Cat and Ant, or a third star that better fits the Wolves' long-term plans with Cat and Ant. Another potential pro is that Ant will have to progress more as a playmaker without Dlo, which could benefit his progression as an all-around player. And we could potentially run a starting lineup with Ant as shooting guard, J-Mac as small forward, as we couldn't do that because we had Bev on the floor to help defensively with Dlo at the time, and as well as how Dlo likes to play both guard positions, not really wanting to be one or the other, which is why they mainly played Ant as small forward as a result. So they could play a bigger lineup, is what I'm trying to get at here, and Ant could play his natural position. I mean, potential cons include we could get no good offers for D'Angelo Russell this offseason, or a potential, or whatever trade happens could flop, and we struggle without Dlo's playmaking and ability to close games for us, as well as his leadership. And Ant might not make that necessary jump for this to happen, or Jaden McDaniels, and then we're out of the playoffs in a very competitive Western Conference. And option 2 is re-signing Dlo. So we could re-sign him for the max. Best case scenario, they can work things out, Dlo improves his postseason play, our core starts to coexist a lot better, and they can progress and become more than a lower-seeded playoff team. But the worst case scenario, no progress, we're stuck in mediocrity like the Jazz with this core, except maybe worse because we can't even get past the first round, or even worse, just being a playing team and not even making the first round. What if we re-signed Dlo for less than the max? To be honest, I don't know if he would ever want to take any less, because I feel like he's the kind of guy that would value his play too much to want to take less than what he could make, and that's understandable. But if we could re-sign him for less than the max, that would be nice. We could pay him like a high-level role player, probably around 80 to 90 mil over like 3-4 years. That would be a lot better for our cap space. But then we are still banking on him to be our, third guy for quite a few years alongside Cat and Ant by re-signing him at all. Final option is to just let it play out. Let Dlo play next season, figure out if we can trade him at the deadline, re-sign him later on, or just play his contract out. Questions like that will be answered depending on his play and how the Wolves are doing. I think it could get weird though if we do that for the team. Like maybe Dlo just wants to tank his stock, I don't know. So this could be a kind of a gamble. So what will the Timberwolves do? They recently signed Tim Connolly as the new president of basketball operations. And for what it seems like, he won't be doing too much this offseason aside from just getting settled in, getting to know the organization and stuff like that. Initially, I thought if we got a new president of basketball operations, one of the first things they would do this offseason is trade D'Angelo Russell, as not a lot of dudes around the league seem to be very high on him. So I think there's a huge possibility Dlo gets traded in the future. I just don't think it would be that soon. But what would I do if I was the Wolves? Because I'm sure everyone cares about that, right? But for real, before I tell you what options I think would be the best, I feel like I should explain my standpoint on this whole thing. I mean, I like D'Angelo Russell. I even called myself a D'Angelo Russell believer during the season. You know, I feel like he doesn't always get the credit he deserves for how much he can impact a winning team. He's a player who's very skilled, has a high IQ. That was on full display this season, as he was a very big reason why we made the playoffs. But a part of me also wants to see him gone. And let me explain. Because a part of me just wants to see the Wolves build around Ant and Cat. I feel like that would just be easier to just build around these two. This whole big three thing, I'm not completely sold on with these three players, because I feel like we rarely ever see these three play to the best of their abilities with all three of them together, and it's even rare to see them complement each other's games. I don't know how you build a team around this core. I don't want us to be built around Dlo, because I feel like Dlo as a franchise player can only take you so far, because frankly, he's just not that reliable. I mean, in terms of availability, he hasn't played over 65 games since he was an all-star with Brooklyn. On top of that, he's inconsistent when he does play, and we saw that in the playoffs. But at the same time, I'm torn because I really do believe in D'Angelo Russell. I don't know if giving up on him after one playoff series is the right move. I mean, he's only 26 and has only been in 2 playoff series in his whole career. And trading him could go very wrong given how dependent this team has been on him during parts of the season. And in a scenario where we don't trade him for more than some role players, we're completely 100% all in on this core or duo of like Ant and Cat. I just don't know if that duo is ready to take us to the playoffs with just the two of them. As you know, Ant still has a lot to improve on, which is normal for a 20-year-old player. And Cat can sometimes get taken out of games with foul trouble and stuff like that, which is when we really need Dlo, you know? So options I like the most as a Dlo believer / Timberwolves fan / Ant fan. Well, one option I really like is to just play it out. I mean, this might be a terrible idea. This could mess up chemistry with the team and make things weird and tense. But playing out his contract next year could help give us a better idea of what to make of Dlo on this roster. As last year was really his only first full season with the team. As 2019 or 2020 season, he arrived kind of late. Cat got injured, and then 2021 season, they were both dealing with injuries. Last season was the only time we really got to see the big three and see what they could accomplish. So it might be too soon to, kind of give up on that. And his play could also improve his stock more if we decide to trade him before the deadline. We could also decide to extend him later in the year when we have a better idea of what Dlo's future could be here. And then another option, I guess I also kind of lean towards, or have been leaning towards, is, trading him. This would basically be saying that we trust Ant to assume Dlo's responsibilities as a ball handler, and he will likely be more involved in the offense if Dlo leaves. I think we can trust Ant to be that guy next year. I lean toward this option because of my fascination with the idea of what Ant could accomplish without Dlo, because a lot of the time I feel like Ant and Dlo did struggle to coexist alongside Cat. It really just felt like one or the other, so trading Dlo means Ant is going to be the number one option in the backcourt, unless we trade Dlo for a Dlo replacement instead of role players. But then the third option that I kind of liked as well is just, we're signing for a little bit less than the max this offseason. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This core was successful enough to make the playoffs. Has some high highs in both the regular and postseason. There's a chance there's more that they could offer as Dlo and Cat are both just now entering their primes, and Ant won't hit his prime for hypothetically 6-7 years. They might be able to take this team farther than we think they can right now. Like I said before, it was just one series. Dlo's a pretty young player. He can still grow and improve. It's not likely we can easily get someone of his talent or better to replace him. I mean, Minnesota isn't exactly a top destination for free agents. Dlo is a good player despite all his issues, and he and the rest of this core are young enough to still work it out. They just need a better built team around them heading into next season. And that concludes this video. So you guys let me know what you think would be the best option for the Wolves next season regarding Dlo. Remember to like and sub if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.